Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm just going to fill you guys in on a few life updates and what I've been busy doing these past couple of months. In one of my last videos, I mentioned that I am working on a Sweet 16 for my daughter. She will be turning 16 in November. But before I get into that, I did want to give you guys a little life update. I know you guys don't know too much about me, so you don't really know the whole situation. So I really want to be honest with you guys from the beginning, and I won't be able to hide it much longer. And the fact is that I am currently expecting a baby. It is really unexpected. I mean, it's a story on its own. My youngest child is almost 11 years old, so it's been quite a while since I've had kids, a baby, all that stuff. I thought I was done. I'm actually happy now. That wasn't the case when I found out. I had a lot of mixed emotions. I pretty much couldn't figure out how it happened. And I am convinced that this is a miracle in itself. And the reason I say that, I'm trying not to get teary-eyed because, I always get emotional. So let me take a minute to compose. Okay. Let me fill you guys in. I am almost done with my first trimester. The reason why I didn't announce it sooner is because I wasn't sure if this was going to be a viable pregnancy. 10 plus years ago when I had my youngest, I did get a tubal ligation, which consisted of them clamping my tubes so I won't be able to have any more babies. And, you know, that was done, and, you know, case closed, factory closed, whatever you want to say. And I thought we were done and going on with our lives. Fast forward a few years, my husband joins the military. We moved to a different state, which is where we currently still are. Now, he is not military any longer. We're not a military family anymore, but we were military. And at that time, for some reason, he really wanted another baby. And that was very confusing to me at the time because I couldn't understand why I had to go through that if he would have eventually wanted another baby. And he couldn't explain himself. He just felt, I guess, because our little one was, you know, pretty much growing. He was about 4 or 5. And I guess, you know, we were losing the baby, and he just wanted another baby, and he cried about it, and he told me, let's try to see if we could do anything. So we went to the doctor. Obviously, I'm his wife. I could have made the decision to say no, of course, but I'm his wife, and I guess I wanted to give him what he wanted. So we ended up making an appointment to the doctor. We weren't sure if they covered the procedure to have a reversal. And when I went to the doctor and I asked, they said no, the TRICARE does not cover a reversal or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, that was that. And then a couple months later, I went to the doctor again for an unrelated issue, and he was with me at that time, and he asked, I guess I was seeing a different provider at the moment, and he asked that provider if they offered reversals. And for some reason, that doctor said, yeah, we can actually do that. You know, TRICARE will cover it and things like that. So we decided to go ahead and take a chance and do this and get this done. I mean, obviously I was nervous, but I was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, we'll see how it goes. And I would say, I don't know if it was 3 to 6 months later was when I actually got the reversal. And that surgery was the most painful surgery or pain that I have ever experienced in my life. I mean, it was so painful. When I came out of the anesthesia, and I was becoming more and more aware. This might be a little bit too much information, and if you're sensitive to gross things, I would advise you to maybe forward a little bit or cover your ears or whatever. But when I awoke from that surgery, I literally felt like I was severed in half from my belly down, and then obviously I felt like I was in two separate pieces. I could not even breathe. That's how badly it hurt. I could not expand my lungs for air. So needless to say, that was the most painful surgery or moment that I've had in my entire life. I experienced that pain for good, I think it was like 20 to 30 minutes before they actually came with, I don't know, some morphine or something. They gave me something to kind of numb the pain, but that feeling when I first came out of, you know, when I first awoke, it was just so disturbing and so traumatic that I still remember it till today. I mean, it was awful. And, you know, the procedure was done. The doctor came in. She basically told me, you know, what happened and how everything went and what she could have done and, you know, the whole situation. So she basically informed me that my uterus, I think, my uterus or something in my stomach or my uterus was really small or something like that. And they had to actually take it out of my insides and like lay it on my stomach so she could work on it. Because the clamps where I got clamped were so close to the actual uterus that they didn't want to, you know, like sever or I don't know. They didn't want to make a mistake. So it was awful hearing all this. In my head, I'm like, why is she telling me this? You know, yeah, she said that clamps were kind of too close to the uterus, and you know, out of the uterus is connected, I guess, the fallopian tubes. So she basically told me what she had to do was she had to cut each side. Let me see if I can show you by an example here. I'll just use this. Let's just say this is the tube, right? And then let's say the black bristles is the uterus. So the clamp was somewhere close. I mean, I don't know specifically, but from what she made it sound like, she said it was kind of like really close. So what she needed to do to make this work, because the clamp, I guess, had severed and damaged the tissues. You can't just unclamp it and hope it'll come back to its normal shape. It's damaged tissue. So what she had to do was pretty much cut my fallopian tube on this end, and then she had to cut it on this end, which was very close to the uterus, and then take out where the clamping was, damaged tissue, I guess, throw it out, and then the two remaining sides, which the one that was really close to the uterus was like barely anything she could work with, and she had to sew them together, suture them together. And she told me that that was the case on both sides. And she said, you know, let's give it 6 months for it to heal and hope that there's no scar tissue, because if there's scar tissue, obviously my tube will get blocked and there's nothing going through that. So, you know, 6 to 8 months later, we, at that time, actually, we ended up leaving the military and starting our own business. And so we lost the TRICARE, so I couldn't go back to see the same doctor, but I did go to another physician that deals with that kind of stuff. And he, I forgot the procedure that they do. They pretty much just check your tubes by inserting a fluid that will illuminate when they put you in an MRI or X-ray or something like that. I mean, this whole process was like, it's a blur to me now, because I was almost so disturbed and traumatized that I forgot bits and pieces of it. But so I would say it was like 8 months later that happened. So I got that procedure done, and at that time we could see on the screen or whatever, my right side fallopian tube was blocked. There was scar tissue. He was trying to push the liquid through, and there was just nothing getting through. On the left side, he was trying to do the same thing. There was nothing getting through initially. Then I guess, I don't know if he pushed a little bit more. Maybe there was a little bit of blockage or just something was there. He pushed a little bit more, and a very, very thin liquid was able to go through the fallopian tube. So he was like, oh, you know, that one is open. You know, I did have to push, you know, kind of like inject the liquid and push a little bit for it to kind of poke through or whatever. So they did inform me that my left side was potentially, you know, healed or, you know, healthy and able to conceive. That happened. You know, they told me that obviously now with the tube open, you guys can start trying, because it had already been about 8 months since the surgery. So, I mean, obviously we started trying. And that was 5 years ago. That was 5 years ago. So needless to say, during the course of 5 years, a lot of stress, you know, disappointments, and blah, blah, blah later. Nothing happened. I was not able to get pregnant. And, you know, I pretty much, after the 5-year point, you know, obviously, you know, years are going by, my age is going up, and I'm like, okay, with each passing year, my chances decrease. They go down, and then, you know, who wants a baby after a certain age, right? After that, you know, I just started having a lot of issues, a lot of problems at home with my husband, and we weren't on good terms, and I was just not, you know, I was just not looking forward to anything with him. So that was a couple of years ago, and yeah, I really thought that the blockage came back, or maybe some scar tissue had formed over it, or just that I just was not going to ever have kids again. It was not God's will, etc., etc. So, you know, I had given up on the idea. I stopped, you know, waiting every month to see if I miss a period and all that stuff, because it can be really frustrating and very sad when you're trying and it's just not happening. So I gave all that up mentally, in my heart and everything. I was like, whatever, you know, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna, you know, I even prayed about it. I was like, you know, take this off of me so I won't want it, you know, because I had already, that idea had already been put in my mind. So when, you know, when you start going for something, you actually want it. Didn't happen. I was over it. I was happy. I was going on with my life. I was traveling. I was, you know, I had plans. I was, you know, taking care of me and my kids, obviously, but I was taking care of me. I wasn't too much worried about anything else. And a couple of weeks after coming back from my Florida trip, I started feeling like I had the flu. I started feeling like I had fever. I started feeling hot and cold flashes, and I was just tired. At work, I was taking naps, and I just, you know, I was just tired, and I had to, you know, go buy some Red Bulls and, you know, kind of keep myself awake. But the hot and cold flashes, I couldn't understand. I felt feverish, but I wasn't sick. So I couldn't understand that. I would get cold, I would bundle up, and then I would start sweating. So I would let it go. Then as soon as it cool off, I would start shivering from the cold. It was weird, because I don't think I've experienced hot and cold flashes before. So I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't feeling that great. And I started thinking, am I going through premature menopause or something? I couldn't understand those symptoms. A week or two later, I missed a period, and I obviously, the first initial thought in my mind, honestly, was that I was going through premature menopause. I even called my mom and asked her a few questions. I was Googling it, and obviously it does happen to some women. Premature menopause is not in my family, you know, doesn't run in my family, so I wasn't sure what was going on. Like I said, the farthest thing from my mind was this. And I figured I might as well get it out of the way, buy a pregnancy test, not tell anyone yet, you know, not tell anyone anything, because I just couldn't, you know, get that notion out of the way. And obviously if that wasn't it, I would have had to make an appointment and see what the heck is going on. So needless to say, I bought a pregnancy test, which was a little adventure, because it was weird. I felt like a kid, you know, buying a pregnancy test. I was kind of scared. You know, I was going into my local Walmart where I know a lot of people, and I'm like scared to walk to that section and scared to grab one of those, and I'm like hiding it and, you know, trying to put it under my other stuff that I was buying. And when I went to self-checkout and scanned it and threw it really quick in the bag, you know, meaning that I didn't want nobody else to see it. I didn't know what was going on. Like I said, having a baby was like the last thing in my mind, from my mind, and at that point I really didn't want it. I wasn't interested in being a mom again. But I went ahead and I did the test. Early in the morning, I did the test, and then I put it in my drawer, upside down, obviously, so I won't see it. And I was just, honestly, I was scared to look at it. It was so ridiculous. I'm telling you, I went through a ridiculous phase because it's almost, I was in complete shock. I don't know, in denial. I was just scared. I don't know what I was scared of. I was just scared because, like I said, I thought that would never happen. I thought it was over. It was out of my mind, and I really, you know, I obsess over things. So, you know, when I really wanted it, I was really going for it, looking forward to it. But then when it didn't happen, I really had to disregard all that from my mind and just let it go. So at this point, I was like, I don't want to deal with this. So anyways, it wasn't until 3 days later that I went back into my drawer and I pulled out the test to look at the results. And actually, before I did that, I spoke to my daughter, the one that's going to turn 16, and I told her, because a few days had passed since I took the test and still no monthly visit. So I was like, this has to be, you know, has to be either that or I'm sick, you know, which I'm not, thank God. I'm not sick, praise God. I spoke to my daughter and we actually looked at the test together. And I did record it because I knew that this whole process, no matter how I was feeling, I knew this whole process would someday be hilarious and, you know, it may be worth watching. So I sat her down in the beauty room, in this room, and I told her everything, and she's like looking at me with her eyes this big, and she's like, oh my God. And I told her the test is right there. I haven't looked at it. I have no idea what it says, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, we ended up looking at it together, which I can share that footage with you guys if you guys are interested. I actually recorded everyone's reaction. I told everyone pretty much one by one. My kids were the first ones to know in the household, and then my husband was the last one to know. The reason for that is because he was actually very busy. He was like trying to pass some kind of certification test, and he was under a lot of stress, and I really didn't want to bother him with this. So I just told the kids, and you know, after that, then we sat him down and we told him. But that first test, I pulled it out of the drawer. I didn't even look at it. I was like scared to touch it. It was so ridiculous. And I sat it down like upside down. This is the actual test. And then I told her, you want to look at it? I don't want to look at it. I don't want to touch it, and whatever. And she just said, well, let's just both do it. Or I think I said that, I'm not sure. But we ended up both just grabbing the test and just kind of flipping it over to see the results. And obviously the results I got are 2 lines, which says pregnant. And I can show you in the video, I was in complete and utter shock. I was in shock. I was speechless. I was numb. I felt a way that a pregnant woman should not feel. And I'm still struggling to understand why I felt that way. I think it's because I was so long. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, it is what it is. And I was just so shocked. That is the only word I was so shocked. I was in disbelief. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe we should try another one. So I went back to the store the next day with her, and I did the whole process all over again. We snuck into the pregnancy test section, and we kind of like grabbed one. We went home and we did another one. So for the second one, I brought my oldest son into this room, And I told him, I told him the whole story. I said, look, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, huh? And he was like, wait, you mean that you? And I was like, right. And I had the test that I took, but I had it upside down once again. I hadn't seen the results, so it could have easily been a negative. And I was like, we're going to find this out together, because I'll be darned if I'm going through this by myself. And yeah, he flipped it over and we all saw it, and I got another positive pregnancy test. So at this point, I'm like, goodness gracious, is this really real? I was still like, whatever. Anyway, at this point, I had bought a 2-pack, so I went ahead and took the third one. The third one turns out to be positive too. So needless to say, I was shocked and in disbelief. I was actually in disbelief for the first 2 months, I would say. The first month was just, you couldn't tell me anything. I was like, nah, nope. And I didn't tell nobody, because I was like, this is gonna go away. This is gonna, my monthly visit will appear and I will wake up, right? Never happened. A couple weeks later is when I finally sat my husband down in the same room with the kids all around. It was quite funny. And we told him. He was surprised, but happy nevertheless. And yeah, he just couldn't believe it either. He was like, really? Like I said, I have the footage of all that. If you guys are interested in me sharing it, I would not mind one bit. Those are memories for me, so I'll be happy to share my memories with you. I don't know what to say about this whole thing. Right now, when I went to my first visit, they obviously know my history. And with the reversal and the scar tissue that I have on my tubes, they advised me to, to just be careful, let's wait till the first actual prenatal visit so that they can do a bedside ultrasound to make sure that this is a viable pregnancy and it's not like, maybe in the fallopian tube or anywhere it's not supposed to be. So needless to say, the first prenatal visit came and went, and they did a bedside ultrasound. And sure enough, they did the bedside ultrasound, and there was a little thing right there in the uterus, just saying, hey. I still, at that point, I couldn't believe it. I was looking at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, there really is something there. I was so shocked. I've had kids before, and I've never been this shocked. But I guess through all this traumatic, process that I've been through, just to be able to, I guess, get to this point has my mind kind of somewhere else. And yeah, I was, when you see your, I guess your child to be for the first time, it really does sink in, and it, you start feeling happy. So I did start accepting the news and, just allowing me to feel happy about it, because I guess I went through so many disappointments, and then, the fact that my husband and I weren't doing so well in our own personal relationship had me kind of like, like I didn't want to go through that right now, but it certainly wasn't planned. It certainly was so unexpected. It's here, and I am almost done with the first trimester, so I'm hoping everything goes smoothly, and I can only pray for a healthy baby, a healthy journey through the next 7 months, and see where it goes. So yeah, that was my little story. I'm happy. If you guys are wondering, I am happy. I'm just still a little dumbfounded that I'm gonna be a mom again. It's no matter how many kids you have, every time you find out you're gonna have a child, it always, well, to me at least, it always feels brand new. So it's not like the first time you're experiencing it, but in this case, because it's been more than 10 years, yeah, if everything feels brand new. Like, I've forgotten so many things. I hadn't said the word baby in years. I didn't want to. I just didn't feel the same way about babies as I once did. Before, I used to be like, oh, but as of late, I just wasn't interested. I just wasn't interested, and here I am. almost in my second trimester, so I've been to a couple doctor visits. They assured me everything is fine. They did do some blood work and for some chromosomal defects because of my age and because of the situation with the surgeries. So they said everything looks normal. Tests came back negative for any kind of, chromosomal, abnormalities or anything. So obviously they haven't done a test for every little single thing because I am so early, but they did cover a few. And in a couple of months, I'll get another test for, I think they said spinal bifida. Stuff like that. But so far it looks like the baby is very healthy. I am happy, I am grateful, and I just, it's certainly a journey for me. It's certainly an eye-opener, and I just didn't expect it. I just did not expect to be a mom again after so long. I was just getting used to dealing with teenagers now that I'm like, just don't know how, with a little baby, I just haven't been around a little baby in so long. So this, will be a new journey for me and my family. The kids are really excited. I'm excited to share my journey with you guys. If you guys are, interested or will let me, most certainly talk about my journey. I don't want to turn this channel into a pregnancy, channel, because I know that can get a little annoying. But I certainly want to share with you guys any milestones and any updates and things like that. If you guys want to know anything, let me know. Ask me in the comments below or whatever. But yeah, I am currently 13 weeks, yes. And I have not yet felt the baby move. I have heard the heartbeat. It sounds healthy. I haven't felt it move. Obviously, I don't know the gender. I have another appointment in a couple weeks, so hopefully if we find out the gender, I can make a gender reveal video for you guys, because a family, like the grandparents on both sides, are coming in from Florida for my daughter's sweet 16. So if I can find out the gender before then, I'm going to arrange a gender reveal party now that they'll be here, and kind of do that the day after the sweet 16. So that way they'll be able to share in the joy with us and get the news with us before they leave back home, because they're only staying like a few days. I guess this is hope. If any woman has gone through a tubal ligation and you're able to get a reversal, this is hope that obviously you can still conceive. It's hard to believe that I only have one functioning, tube, and I was able to conceive so many years later. I thought with every passing year, my chances would go down because obviously I'm getting older, but it's here, and I'm happy. I'm happy now, and we're all excited. We're excited. I'm almost in my second trimester, and now it's finally sinking in that, I'm starting to look at baby stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, it's just so different. So I'm excited. But I feel very blessed. I am very blessed, and I thank God. I thank God because it's, I truly feel like it's a miracle. Like, it's really a miracle, and I would have never thought. So, all right, I'm going to stop ranting before I get emotional, and if there's anything you guys want to see, just let me know. If you like this video and you want to see more of my life and how it's progressing, let me know, and I'll make sure to keep you guys involved and keep filming for you guys. I will be filming anyways because I do plan on making memory videos. I didn't have that with my other kids because I didn't have the opportunity, but now I do, and I really want to use that to my advantage. Always wish I couldn't go back and look at the kids and when they were babies and they were small. And and a lot of the journey, but I don't have that, so I'm looking forward to having that this time around, and I feel truly blessed. So you guys, I'll leave on that note, and I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you all in my next video. Until then, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.